What I'm going to show you today is a restaurant trick. This is something I believed was devised by the restaurant owners and not by the chefs. And the reason is it involves very little cooking, so there's more profit for them in this way. Now the dish is a dessert, and it's called Tiramisu, which is an Italian dessert which I'm sure many of you will have had in restaurants. What you probably don't know is how very easy it is to make. And this is what I'm going to show you. Here it is. It is a layered dessert, and this is what it is just before it's finished. It's going to have a cocoa topping on it, but it is so simple. So I'm going to put it down, and then I'm going to show you exactly how it's made. What you need to start with is some sponge finger biscuits. They come in a pack like that. You can get them in the supermarket, but basically they're little sponge fingers. They're hard, and they are very sugary, but they are perfect for this dish. So what I'm doing is I'm putting 4 of them. I'm going to put 4 into some coffee. Now, the coffee you need, some of the recipes say that you can use instant coffee, but I hate to tell you, it really isn't nearly as good. So I want you to make some strong, real coffee, and I want you to pour it into a bowl. And then just dip in the sponge fingers. I'm going to put them in one at a time, and almost immediately you take them out. We're using just 4 for the first layer. They are soaking up the coffee very quickly, but I just want to warn you that if you leave them in for too long, they're going to be a soggy mess and you're not going to be able to deal with them. So I'm using half of them at the moment. The recipe is for 2 or 3 people. Obviously, if you want to make more, you'll double or treble it. So to start with, we've got 8 sponge fingers. Now comes the mixing of the next bit, the filling. And the filling consists of mascarpone cheese, superb Italian cream cheese, and a tablespoon of sugar, and 150 mils of double cream. So, also Marsala wine. You can add a little bit of the Marsala to the coffee mixture. So I'm going to do that now. It doesn't matter if you add it at this stage or you can add it with the cream. But in fact, I'm going to put a little bit with the coffee for the next layer. So here is the wonderful smelling Marsala, and I'm going to put a slosh of it in with the coffee. So now, here is the cream. I have already mixed it up in this bowl for one reason only. It makes a horrendous noise when you're whisking things. So I put the mascarpone and the cream and the Marsala and the sugar, but I haven't added much of the Marsala. So you want it to be quite stiff. You don't want it to be really, really stiff, but if it's liquidy, it is not going to make the nice shape that you want it to be. So here we go. And I'm going to put into it a dash of the Marsala there, and spoon it around a bit, and then we'll be able to put it onto the first layer of sponge finger biscuits. And what we do then is just smooth it out. You don't want it to be lumpy in the middle, you want it to be quite well arranged on the top. Quite a lot of it you're putting half of it here, and just put it like that, and there. Just go around it to layer it up. There it is. So then you need a little bit of grated chocolate. I'm using ordinary chocolate, bar of dark chocolate that comes from any supermarket, and a grater like this. But I've done it before, and here it is. Here is grated chocolate. So what you need is a little bit of grated chocolate over the first layer. It's going to give it extra flavour. Now you carry on with the other 4 of your sponge finger biscuits, and you lay those on as well. 1, going to add a tiny bit more coffee here. It's always better to make a little bit extra coffee just in case you think you might run out. There it is, and the last one is finally going in. There we are. Now there, we are ready for the second layer. So you can see that this is a pretty quick dish, and we're getting to the main, almost finished part of it. So then you add the second layer of the mascarpone cream. Maybe there's a bit too much for it, but we'll see. We will spread it out very generously over the top and make sure that it's not falling over the edges if you can. There it is. So then I would do this with a small palette knife or any knife that you've got, and just try to make sure that it is level. Neaten it up at the sides. And there it is. So then you need your final little decoration of chocolate, like this. A little bit around the edges. Now this time, I'm not putting it all over, I'm just putting it around the edges, because what I'm going to do to finish it off is I'm going to put a tiny little bit of cocoa in the middle. So I'm going to show you, this is ordinary cocoa, and cocoa tends to be lumpy. So you always want to sieve it before you use it. So I'm just going to put a tiny little bit here and shake it over, and I'm rubbing it with the spoon to make sure that it's coming nice and thick. And there it is. Now, I'm going to bring it a bit nearer so you can see. There is the finished tiramisu. Now I want to tell you a few things about this. This will keep for certainly one day, maybe 2 days, and some people even believe you can freeze it. You can cut this up into at least 4 portions, I would think. 4 smallish portions, 3 bigger portions, and you can have it in the fridge for a few days. But one thing I would suggest, if you're not planning to eat it straight away, leave it in that condition, the one that has no cocoa on top, and put it in the fridge like that. And a little bit of warning if you do that. If you wrap it up with cling film, the cling film will stick to the creamy mixture. To stop that happening, you get 4 cocktail sticks and stick them in each corner of the tiramisu and put the cling film on top like a tent, and that will hold it off the actual dessert, but it will keep it all beautifully wrapped. Now, just to finish, I want to tell you something about where I believe that this dessert comes from. And I don't know if this is a secret, but I will tell you anyway. There was a very famous Italian dessert many years ago, which was called zuppa inglese. Zuppa inglese means English soup, but it was neither English nor was it soup. It was called English because it contained rum, which was the preferred drink of British sailors. So there was some connection between Britain and Italy that created this idea. Now, what that dessert was, it involved making a beautiful sponge cake and then making 2 kinds of egg custard. One vanilla custard, which was pale, and one chocolate, which was dark. And what you did was, you make your sponge cake and you soak it in rum, and then you have a layer of the white custard, and then more cake, and then a layer of the chocolate custard, and then maybe some cream on top. Now this pudding, zuppa inglese, was my absolute favourite in restaurants until it started to disappear. And why did it disappear? It disappeared because tiramisu took over. Because, as I said at the beginning, I think the restaurant owners were beginning to realise that it was too time-consuming for their chefs, and if they didn't have a special pastry chef, it just took them too much time. So I hope you can go and make your own tiramisu, and it really is not difficult. If you want to ask me anything, you can always go on my website, which is called The Armchair Kitchen. If you like it, do please pass it on to someone else. Bye bye.